Marketers discuss cost per lead, but do we all have the same definition? We don't all have to have the same definition, but do you in your organization have the same definition? And so, what do you mean by a lead? Is it just an inquiry or hand raiser, qualified lead, multi-touch? So Atri, I think we were talking about this earlier, the importance of really understanding what distinguishes a lead when you're calculating the cost on those leads.
Absolutely, and I think that everyone in this room probably goes through this, which is that definition that Daniel was talking about. What is your definition of a lead? Make sure you get it consistent inside your organization. In our organization, we have a rule of thumb. A lead is someone that has, a raw lead is someone that has interacted with us in some way, shape, or form. That's the starting point. Then we have various levels of qualification that go on from there. But just because you have a name doesn't necessarily mean that that's a lead. So that's the definition we've used. So we may have the name, phone number, contact information for someone, but unless they've actually interacted with us, that's when we qualify it as a starting point of a lead. Then, of course, we've got more qualified versions of that, and we'll get, there's other panels on this conference that talk about nurturing and so on. But that's a starting point. And you have to get to that sort of definition, make sure you agree with the other stakeholders in your organization. And so you've got a basis for comparison, a basis for measurement, a basis for looking at success.
And so, Tom, we've got to agree with sales, huh?
Totally. If sales doesn't line up behind the definition of a lead, then your ability to get follow-up, your ability to get feedback, your ability to close the loop. The quid pro quo is we spend a lot of time, money, and effort generating a volume of leads. And it shouldn't be called a lead unless sales agrees it's a lead. Everything else up to that point is a marketing prospect. It's a marketing event that you're nurturing. But when sales reaches the point where sales says, yes, we'll follow up on that, that's a lead, and all the costs then are accrued to that point. And if they agree to that, then you get to hold their feet to the fire in terms of appropriate follow-up and feedback. And if you can't get that, then there's a much bigger alignment issue going on, and your budget is likely to be squandered.
See, we already have a difference of how we qualify what we call a lead between the two of us.
Yeah, and I would tell you there's another factor here, right? If you're a consumer-facing business or you sell to business, is a radical departure of how you think about a lead, right? I spend almost all my time with our existing customers. I sit with 25 to 30 marketing groups a quarter, and their definition of a lead is all over the place. Mm-hmm. If they're in consumer business, I generally tell folks that a lead isn't a hand raiser, right? And this is exactly what your slide's showing here, right? A prospect is a prospect, and those are going to come organically. I think we as lead professionals need to think about, if we're going to define a lead, it needs to be something that we've spent money or internal effort on, and we can quantify that over time so that we can then make a conversion factor, right? At the end, do I care that 60% of hand raisers converted to purchasing customers? No, I care about the 2 things or 3 things I might have told them post the hand raise. So think about leads as things that you spend time on up front and effort that then you can quantify later in a conversion metric.